Welcome to the Awareness Space podcast, a place where we explore what it means to live with a neurodivergent brain. I was diagnosed at 41 with ADHD. After 20 years of struggling with anxiety, depression, impulsivity, and a life-hindering, overactive mind, I found the answer. This podcast has a mission to interview as many people with a neurodivergent brain as we can in hope to raise awareness. Awareness that it's never too late to discover your truth. Join us every week as we talk with therapists, coaches, and people who can share their story. Getting the diagnosis is just the beginning. May we all thrive in our own way of life. Now let's dive in. Hi, and welcome back to the Awareness Space podcast. And yes, you just heard the intro to what the podcast will become. And it's slightly given away this episode, but to be honest, I guess I should just put it in the title. So what's time? It's Sunday now. So yeah, last Thursday, I discovered I do in fact have ADHD. After all the previous episodes in the run-up, I was a little unsure how it was going to go. And obviously my partner and parents, they filled out forms on my behalf. And then I sat down with a psychiatrist and we talked for 80 minutes and we covered initially kind of my experience of life. And then the rest of it is quite rightly a series of questions, which are, I'm sure, what every single person gets. And it's all based on creating a score. So you get a score for certain things you say, or if what you say links up to informants and current day partners and things like that, to see what matches, what doesn't, and also for him to look for other diagnoses. So anxiety disorder, depression, I'm sure some other ones as well. There's probably autism's in the mix as well. Really, really lovely guy. But for anybody who's about to go on this process, they're not there to laugh or have banter or, it's not about, you're not making a friend, it's like, it's kind of pleasant, but very professional. So it's not like coaching. So just bear that in mind, because I like to sort of make fun of myself a bit and make the other person laugh, but that's not the environment I was in. So it's very interesting. So yeah, we covered everything from my childhood, current day, but we were always trying to tie it back into my childhood. There was a lot of that, tying it back in. But I don't want to say too much more because obviously it's confidentiality and I've not mentioned the company, so I want to just keep it under wraps. But yeah, as far as how I feel about it all before I share scores and stuff like that, it was a weird experience. I was like, oh, okay, because my partner's got it. I was like, oh, I do. I have ADHD too. And it was kind of this, okay. So it explains everything. My anxiety, my impulsivity, hyperactive mind, on the go all the time, having 155 projects on the go, quitting them when they get too much, then coming back to them, and loads of other things in between. So that was good. But then it's like, okay, right, so what's next? So the good thing is knowing that, with my anxiety and stuff, I would try to completely control my life to try and stop the anxiety and maybe not do certain things, avoid certain things, not take opportunities. Whereas now I know that if I hyperfocus for too long, especially if I'm designing my degree, my anxiety all kicks in. Now I know it's linked to a sort of response to hyperfocus and burning my brain out. So it's good to know my anxiety isn't generalized anxiety. So it means I can take on more things or take those opportunities. So it's okay for me to have lots of projects on the go because a big part of that is staying interested, staying stimulated, and working through my lower levels of dopamine that are naturally occurring in my brain. So I like to have lots of different things. Movie podcast, this podcast, my degree, my family. I love my movies, I love my football. And just allow them all to be there. Just don't try and do all of them right now, which is what I was leading to some anxiety. So that's kind of where I'm at. But what I'm really excited about is just being able to be an advocate now, because I've spent 10 years interviewing hundreds of therapists, coaches, and people with trauma recovery stories. So I know so much. I'm a qualified coach. So as I said before, I know so much. And now I get to use all of that in this neurodivergent space, which is what we're going to do. So we've got some people contacting me. They want to come on the show. So sharing their stories. And I think we're going to be looking at the run up to the diagnosis, what the diagnosis meant, and then what they've done moving forward to help people decide whether they want to go for diagnosis and how it will impact them by hearing the stories of the impact afterwards. Also, I want to know how people have just let everything go post-diagnosis and fried in certain ways or use certain expressions. Now they know, whilst also learning as much as we can about it. So we want to get experts on, ADHD experts. So we combination of the experts coming on and then people with their stories. So be two kinds. I'll probably name them slightly differently. I think that'd be best. So yeah, that's where we are. So let's take a quick look. I don't want to go into detail, but it's all based on scores, right? So it's out of 9 on this particular bit. So part 1, symptoms of attention deficits and looking at my attention. So my school reports really helped push this over the line, I think. But it's a score out of 9, and I got 7. So 7 out of 9 for attention deficit. Okay, so let's keep this nice simple. And then part 2, symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivity. Something that I feel quite familiar with. And I got a score of 6, so 6 out of 9, so 1 less. So if I have a score of 5 or higher, it's highly consistent with a diagnosis of ADHD. So I got a 7 and a 9. And one of the key things is that they didn't pick up on anything else. So attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So I got combined type. So I have the hyperactivity and impulsivity with the attention deficit. So I'm a combined. Because sometimes you can be one way or the other, which seems quite consistent with how I experience life. So it says core comorbidity, so secondary issues. It says none. I think it's picked up. Obviously, if I wanted to go away and have an autism assessment or assessments for other things, I can, just to see. But that kind of makes sense to me, to be honest. So just looking at this little bit here. So the DSM-5, they base all of this off, is the criteria for adult ADHD. So criteria A, 5 or more symptoms of inattention or hyperactivity, impulsivity. I got yes. Criteria B, several symptoms that presented before the age of 12. That's a yes. My school report showed that. C, several symptoms present in 2 or more settings. So different places, yes. So I had the same problem at home, school, in my work, with my degree, and settings, with friends. So that's a yes. Symptoms interfering or reducing the quality of social, educational, or occupational functioning. Yes, it certainly does impact all of those things, interferes with those. Though I still can flourish, of course. And then E, symptoms are not better explained by another condition or mood disorder. So symptoms are not better explained. So anxiety disorder, bipolar, autism, whatever it may be, condition or mood disorder is no. So they didn't feel that was the case. So these reports are amazing, and you can send these through to the doctor. Obviously, it's private, so maybe a bit less sway than NHS, but this is a legit company, and they're very, very good. It's a shame I can't kind of promote them. I've shared too much about the process to cross that boundary, sadly. But obviously, if you're a good friend of mine, then yeah, feel free to reach out on DMs. So yeah, and it's recommending that I can basically go to the ADHD Foundation to find out more. I can look at CBT for ADHD or an ADHD coach. You can have registered therapists in CBT. I'm not a big fan of CBT, to be honest. That's a long story, but so it's great for some people in certain situations. I just don't think it would work with my brain. And I've tried it. So further psychoeducation is recommended. I mean, that's what this podcast is. I'm going to interview so many people. So yeah, that's quite interesting. And to review, should I want medication? Now, at this point, I don't really want medication. It really helps a lot, and it's changed a lot of lives, and it really works with the brain chemistry and how it researches things. And we talked about on Instagram a little bit about the default mode network. Think back That's like the back of your brain. And then task positive network at the front of your brain. So task positive is what allows you to focus in a healthy way and attend to things without getting distracted, just getting shit done really in a most really soothing way. Well, not soothing, but you know what I mean? You're able to focus. And then default network is where you kind of you're daydreaming and thinking about other things and it's like the kind of beautiful explorative detective-y type brain, creative brain even, and you can get lost back there, and that's how we get distracted from the task. So that being really powerful in the background is not necessarily a good thing. So medication will help with all that. But even though this interferes with my life, I'm going to just see how it feels to know that my symptoms are ADHD and it might not take so much of a toll on my self-esteem, self-worth, because a big thing that came up through this process is self-worth. I never thought of that being a thing, but I have low levels of it because I just thought there was something wrong with me the whole time. Didn't feel like I could achieve or love people in the way I would want to. So working through self-worth, that could really, really help. But my brain is crazy and it likes to do lots of different things. And I'm okay to lean into that as long as I can take care of myself. But I think going on this journey of learning about all of this with all the people I'll interview will be really powerful. So that's kind of it, guys. So in the next episode, we'll have our first guest and we'll dive in. So like I said, it'll be therapists, coaches, practitioners, things like that. And then we'll have real life people, so to speak, with their stories. So if you're listening and you've been diagnosed, it's really important for the storytelling part of the podcast that you have the official diagnosis. Self-diagnosis is really, really important, and it's really important that people honor what they know to be true. I think it's really key just for now that we're going to have people who are fully diagnosed, so it lines up with my journey, and we can share in that journey together and what that looks like. The big impactful moment is kind of the underpinning of what the show is. So if you've been diagnosed and you have a story to share, that's great. Let me know. If you know anybody or you've interviewed anybody who is an expert in this, send them our way. Even though this is like a new thing, this podcast has, I think, about 80 plus episodes already on non-neurodivergent topics. So it's all still there if you listen to the pre-ADHD Owen, or diagnosis version of me, is all there to listen to. So we're just going to continue on. So if you love the podcast, please, subscribe and give me 5-star review, especially over on Apple, and send people our way. I'm doing loads of stuff on TikTok and Instagram now, nearly every day. So go and check that out. And we'd love to talk through people. The only thing I ask is audio is really important to me, as it is on my other show. Really important. It has to be good audio. I need people to have a microphone. Some AirPods are okay, but it's 50-50 chance it won't be. So I need people with decent recording equipment, basically just a decent mic, Rode mic or something along those lines. And a fairly smallish room with something soft, lots of curtains in that space, things like that. So sound doesn't bounce off the walls, because there's nothing worse than bad audio. So just to bear that in mind. I'm going to wrap up there. It's been a very big week, lots to think about. But I'm really excited to go on this journey with you in the space, and I hope you are too. And I can see there's lots of people listening, and whoever you are, thank you so much. If you've been with me since the beginning, what a journey. What a journey, eh? But yeah, if you're new to the show, welcome. Feel free to go back and listen to all the other episodes, because even though they're not to do with neurodivergence, they could be really helpful. Met some amazing people. I can't wait to meet some more people, make some new friends. So yeah, thanks for listening. And we'll see you in the next episode when we have our first guest.